good to be back. We are continuing on part 2 of our love series, which is friendship this week. Last week we did relationships, which involve purity and standards and boundaries and how important they all are. So if you haven't looked at it, please go give it a look. There was a little bit of a lagging problem, but we sorted that out. So hopefully this week will be the week that it all works, but we'll see.
I am a bit sick, so in today's episode, if I sound a bit off, that is why. But yeah, anyways, so why are we speaking about friendship?
I think friendship is so fundamental in our walk as Christians. And in Ecclesiastes it says 2 is better than 1, because if one falls, the other one can help them up.
Yeah.
So, I think friendship is so fundamental, but I think you either have a friend that waters your soul or a friend that dries you out.
Yeah, definitely. I think also you either have a friend that teaches you a lesson or that is meant to be in your life.
A blessing
for good,
or a lesson.
Yeah, a blessing or a lesson,
100%.
But yeah, what does it mean to love like Christ in friendship?
I think loving like Christ, so many people twist it, because loving like Christ doesn't necessarily mean you become a doormat. Because
Definitely.
and I used to think that it was when I was younger. I remember I felt so bad for setting boundaries in friendships, which are just as important in friendships as they are in relationships. And I just let people hurt me and do what they wanted and take what they wanted, and it was hurting me, it was breaking me inside, and I was crumbling. And I think loving like Jesus sat with the sinners, but he didn't let them dictate his destiny.
Exactly, yeah. I think friendship is such a beautiful thing, but because we are all broken people, we treat our friends from that root of brokenness, and God wants us, when we get hurt by a friend, God wants us to come to him with our wounds. He doesn't want us to pretend that we're fine and that, it didn't hurt. To be a good Christian and to end a friendship in a Christian way is not to pretend nothing happened and pretend that you're all fine. It's to go to Jesus and to go to him with your wounds. And yes, you mustn't, be ugly about the person. You mustn't go gossip about the person. But to leave that person in a way that you still need to figure out how you feel about the situation. Because if you don't, that brokenness is just going to spread.
Yes. And because I'm so interested in all the studies to do with relationships, and especially Christ-like relationships, and I found this Harvard study, and it actually said that if you have a strong friendship that is based in Christ, it is 50% longer, more likely to last.
Yeah.
And the same study was talking about loneliness, and it was saying that loneliness is as dangerous as having 15 cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's insane what not having a Christ-like friendship does to your life. It changes everything.
Yes. What about the unequally yoked and yoked thing? Because a lot of people use it in relationships, but not really in friendship.
Yeah, I think people actually look over it. It's because you're not, building a life with this person. I don't need to be equally yoked with the person. But it's so important because, look at your friends, look at your future, And also, that guy that got healed in the Bible, the only reason he got healed is because of the faith of his friends, So the people you surround yourself with is so important, because that can be the make it or break it for you, for your faith. And also, 2 are better than 1, And two or more people gathering, it brings the presence of God.
Yeah.
And if the people that you're gathering with don't know God, it changes your perspective on life and on Jesus.
Also, I saw with your friends or your future, I saw this quote, and it said, your calling, your friends, your circle should be a reflection of that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a graveyard of your potential.
Yeah.
And I think that's so powerful, because we all have this calling on our lives, and you either have people around you that want you to fight for it, or you have people around you who are actually lazy and they call you to be lazy as well.
And no matter, like, you know, if a person is working towards that and is asking you questions, like, you can't just not be friends with the person because they don't believe the same thing as you.
Yeah.
But there has to be a certain level of what you allow into your mind, like a doorway. Like, it can open such small things, like even a small thing such as like your friend loving horror movies and they're like, oh, let's watch a horror movie. That can affect different people very badly. That can open doors to your mind that you don't want opened.
But also, like, when Jesus sat with the sinners, because people always say Jesus sat with the sinners, so we should too. But when Jesus sat with the sinners, I mean, look at Peter, for example. He was literally, I mean, he was a fisherman, and he gambled, and he did all these things, and it speaks about that in the Bible. But Jesus didn't go lower to him. Jesus pulled him higher, and he became one of the, apostles, and wrote books in the Bible about what it is to be a man of God, you know. So you should be pulling people high. You shouldn't be going to their level.
Yeah. And that's the thing that friends do, like toxic friendships. You need to let go of toxic friendships because, like you said, that'll pull you to the ground. Yes. Toxicity, unfortunately, spreads. And you can, like, loving people who are difficult is a big thing, but you need to realize where your heart lies, because if a toxic person is so close to you, you will become like that person. If you mirror each other, the more time you spend with each other. Like, have you ever seen two best friends, like, the longer they've been friends, the more they start to look alike, the more you pick up on each other's mannerisms. Like, it's so dangerous.
Speech as well.
Yeah, and people don't even realize it.
Yes, and I also saw the study of toxic friends, and it said that the toxic friendships actually raise your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. It causes you lack of sleep. It causes your heart palpitations, and what is that? That's anxiety.
Yeah.
You know, so they cause you anxiety, and that's not good for your body. It can even make you physically sick.
And the thing is, like, you choose your friends. So the people that you choose to be in your life and to support you through your life journey should not be causing you anxiety and stress. They should be supporting you and helping you in what you want to commit to in life, which would be Christ, you know?
And, I mean, in Proverbs, it literally says, walk with the wise, and the wise walk with fools, and you are in trouble.
Exactly.
Like, you know, it says that. So God,
it's so important who you surround yourself with, and people don't realize it until it's too late.
What's the difference? Because we spoke about equally and unequally yoked friendships. What would be the difference, do you think? Like, I know with relationships, you know, I feel like me and my partner would have to be on the same level of God.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the same for friendships?
I don't think so. I think that's a personal opinion. For me, I don't think so. I'm friends with a few people who, they are Christian, but they don't know Jesus. And for me, my closest friend is like that. And I feel like God put me in her life and put me so close to her to bring her towards that. Because when someone is raised very differently and very against what Jesus stands for, it's hard to, like, they want to know more, but their brain can't. Like, they can't accept that this is it because it's a brand new thing to them. So for me, like, a friend being unequally yoked, but still, like, you know, there's a chance of something there. You need to indulge in that because that can bring them to faith.
Yes. And also, I agree with you completely, because I've also had a lot of people come to me, like, especially as a life group leader, and they've been like, you know, this friend doesn't believe in Jesus, so should they just ditch them? If that friend isn't, like, I know that there are some friends that have bad influences on you, which you should drop immediately, because if someone is pulling you away from God, they are not from God.
Yeah.
So drop them. But if someone is respecting you, respecting your beliefs, you know, you could be in their lives for a reason, like you said, you know, and they could be in your life for a reason. They could be there to grow your grace, to grow your patience, to grow your testimony, you know. I mean, in a few years, this girl might be talking at
she could be helping me with my faith.
Yeah.
Like, you never know. That's why you can't just send someone away because they're not Christian. And I understand, like you said, if they treat you like you are garbage, or if they make fun of your faith, then, like, unfortunately you drop them. But that's in everyday life, whether you're Christian or not Christian. If someone treats you like garbage, you drop them, you know.
So I know you and I have had experience with being friends with atheists, like people who completely don't believe in Jesus or even sometimes make fun of him.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
For me, I think in certain cases, it's a good thing because, things like our podcast, for instance, like our friends, because they are friends, they will want to go watch it to support us, and maybe something in that podcast will click or something, And even like some of them, like when you spend so much time with them, like when they're very good friends of yours, they start to ask questions and like, why do you believe in God? And like maybe something that I say...
Why is there something different about it?
Exactly. And maybe something that I say is something that they see, they'll be like, what is it? And then once you start explaining it, because a lot of people are scared of God and Jesus because they don't understand it. So if you actually put a reason behind why you are like this or why you believe this, then might change something in them.
But on the other hand, like I know I've experienced with having friends who don't believe in Jesus or they don't respect my boundaries. And for instance, I have boundaries. I don't enjoy going clubbing. I don't enjoy going partying and that kind of stuff. And I've often had friends like, oh, but just have one drink. Oh, but just have one cigarette. Or just have one vape, or one pull. Like, what's the word? And that for me is disrespectful.
Yeah.
I will never force you. I'll never drag you by your ear and take you to church. But they often be like, oh, but that's so lame. Why are you so lame? Yeah. And like that for me, that's not respect.
No, but it's not how a friend should treat another friend.
No, a friend shouldn't.
You shouldn't pressure.
Yes, you shouldn't go out and feel like you're being drained and come back and have to deal with weeks of emotional.
For some people it affects. If it affects you for long, and if someone doesn't understand that, then maybe they're not meant to be in your life, or as close to you.
How do you feel about boundaries in friendships?
Boundaries are so important in friendship. I think it's very important to lay down boundaries, obviously in a loving way. Like, don't be like, no.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, as much as you want them to accept your lifestyle, you, at the end of the day, have to accept their lifestyle.
Yes.
And the major thing that Christians struggle with is like shoving it down their throat,
Not judging.
Exactly, and judging, yeah. And people that see that are going to be like, no, like I don't want to be like that, so why should I believe in God? So it's so important to set boundaries because like you need to let them know what is okay with you and what is not. And they also need to let you know, because sometimes like it's a very passionate thing, you get so passionate about what you believe in, and that can go both ways. So if you don't understand someone's boundaries or they don't understand yours, it can lead to big misunderstanding and it can lead to like someone getting deeply hurt.
Yes. So we've spoken about having unequally yoked friendships and having equally yoked friendships. But for me, equally yoked friendships are obviously more important. And I think it's very important to have people surrounding you that understand your calling and understand your God, because what do you do when your life is falling apart? Unequally yoked people, let's go drinking.
Yeah.
Equally yoked people, let me pray over you. So I think it's very important, but a lot of people struggle to have that balance. I know I did.
Yeah.
I only really I've had Christian friends my whole life, but I've always had more unequally yoked friends than I did equally yoked, and luckily now I'm starting to have more equally.
Yeah.
But for those people who struggle with that, how can you help them?
So I think having more unequally yoked friendships, like there's no support in, and I mean, as being a Christian, God is your first priority. So the people that you surround yourself with, not supporting your main priority in life, that is a big deal, and that'll drag you back into your bad habits and into a bad lifestyle that you don't want to get caught up into.
Yeah, 100%. And I genuinely, your calling is important to you.
Yeah.
It's important to you. And so, your calling, your people who are around you need to be able to remind you of your calling.
Yeah.
When everything is crumbling around you and everything's falling apart and you're going after the crumbs, they need to be like, that way. Because if you keep linking arms with people who are going in the opposite direction, eventually you're going to get lost.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then what?
Yeah.
Then you have to come all the way back to where you were just so you can go back into the right direction.
Yeah, no, it's just prolongs the journey that it's just so unnecessary. I think, what do you think about betrayal in friendships? How do you handle a betrayal in a friendship?
I think it obviously depends what it is.
Yeah.
I think unfortunately gossip is a big human thing. When you tell someone something to someone and they go and tell someone else, it breaks your heart. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And how do you ever trust anyone again because you thought that would never happen,
Exactly.
And I think it takes a lot from you to forgive because, we all know, forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done.
Yeah, no, can I say something on forgiveness? I think, everyone's no, but you need to forgive this person. Forgiveness, yeah, sure, forgive the person, you have to, but that doesn't mean going back and just trusting that person again. And
reconciliation is not
exactly, and forgetting what they did to you. You have to protect yourself at the end of the day. And forgiveness is a massive thing, but that's for your peace of mind, not
100%.
You can't go back and be okay, I forgive you, let's be best friends again. That's not how it works, unfortunately. But also I wanted to say Jesus wants us to run to him because in the Bible, friendship is such a big thing. Friendship is one of the main things in the Bible that is spoken about all the time, and people don't realize it. I mean, if you look at the 12 disciples, they are the main idea of friendship and deep friendship. That's a brotherhood.
They were literally together for a
long time. They trusted each other more than anyone else. But there was a betrayal, and the biggest betrayal you can think of happened there. Judas, yeah. Judas betrayed Jesus, but Jesus loved him anyways. So I think we just forget that Jesus understands, and Jesus wept. Jesus, it hurt him, and we need to understand that he knows what we're feeling, and he knows what we've been through because he's been there too, and he's the only one that can get us out because he knows exactly how it feels.
Yes, and I think we also forget that he wasn't friends with the whole world.
Yeah.
He had 12 people, and even then, his Peter, James, and John were his main kind of thing, and Matthew maybe as well. But he, as much as we're love Jesus, he loved everyone.
Yeah.
Sure, he was kind to everyone. He had peace with everyone, but he only gave his heart out on earth to a few people, to get so close with him. And unfortunately, one of them betrayed him. But, whether he knew that right at the start or when he actually betrayed him, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it's important to, like you said, he also went through it.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're never alone because Jesus knows the pain.
Yes. And it's okay to let go of friends.
Yeah. It's hard, but at some point you need to make that decision.
Yeah, especially if they're taking you down, if they're going past your boundaries, just like you would break up with a boy who is doing that, you should let go of a friend.
I think people think friendship and relationships are such different things, but they're not. The principle of a relationship in general, no matter who it's with, is the same. You need to remember, if someone doesn't make you feel good, lose them, Anyways.
That means lose.
Yeah, let them go.
So don't speak Afrikaans.
That wasn't even
I'm South African. But also, a friend that, I know, if I'm doing something, you or one of my, closer Christian friends will immediately be no, what are you doing?
Yeah, hold you accountable.
Yes, if I had to start dating a boy that wasn't for me, immediately, Jade, what are you doing?
Even though some people don't listen,
Listen, we're past that, okay? But immediately, if I'm doing something that, she knows I shouldn't be doing, she knows that I have boundaries for, she knows that people are crossing, immediately she'll come, Jade, what's happening here?
And even if the person gets upset with you about it, at the end of the day, they realize, they were just looking out for me.
Yes, and later on, when it does hit the fan, if you didn't listen, then you can remember who was on your side the whole time, your friend.
Yeah.
And, friendship is very important to me. I don't know if, I know I'm lucky enough to have a best friend that is my sister. But like even my other friends, you know, I have a colleague that is one of my best friends as well, and well, a couple of colleagues that are some of my best friends who know God, and it's so nice to be able to, even during the day, if you're having a tough day, you know, I go to them, I'm like, I'm having such a tough day, and sometimes they just grab my hand and they start praying. Like, it's the craziest thing, and I've never had it before, but you need someone to wrap you in prayer. You need someone to clothe you in prayer all the time, you know? And especially when you can't do it yourself. It's nice to have someone who knows your favorite worship song, but it's even better to have someone who will pray over you when you can't sing the worship song, you know? So I think friendship is one of those things that is just ultimately like...
No, it's a necessity, like it's so important. And people don't realize how important it really is.
Yes. I also remember like trying to fight to be at tables where I wasn't welcome because of my beliefs, or because I was a snob or a prude or whatever, because I didn't want to go partying, because I didn't want to sleep with every guy that came across, you know. And I just want to say, like, stop fighting for seats at tables that Jesus might be trying to flip, because, you know, if you're not welcome there because of your belief, don't lower your standard, you know, don't start changing what you believe just because of people. I mean, eternally, where are you going to be versus them?
And also, like, a real friend, a godly friend, will never sit at a table that you are not welcome at.
Amen.
And I think that's a massive thing to remember.
Yes,
you know?
100%. Okay, so before we wrap this up, what would some practical ways of loving like Jesus in friendships look like?
I think, like, having patience with a person and listening to a person to make them feel heard. You know, everyone loves feeling heard. Praying with and for a friend that you choose to be with. You know, you want to pray for the people that you choose to love and that you care about. And also encouraging and supporting them in their faith is a massive thing, because people... like, human thing is to feel validated.
Yes.
So if you validate someone in their faith, it'll push them to want to do it more.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I also think not putting too much pressure on friendships, because the thing is, you're getting pressure from everywhere in the world. A friendship is supposed to be somewhere you can come and you can just
be you.
You don't have to worry about what they think or what they're going to do if you know, advertise any, or, you know, if you're doing something, you should be able to come, I should be able to come to you like,
honestly,
help me, like, I don't know what I did, you know, but, yeah, so I think just being yourself, but, you know, being able to feel safe in a friendship.
That's a massive thing, is safety in a friendship.
Yeah. And to anyone who doesn't have Christian friends, we've both gone through it, it's tough, and we're lucky that we had each other our whole lives. But if you are struggling with Christian friends, pray about it. God called us to not be lonely. Like, He didn't call us to loneliness. He called us to walking with people. You know, it may be a narrow road, but I'm sure 2 or 3 people can fit on that narrow road. And if you go through seasons where you are on a very, very narrow road for one person, that's okay.
Yeah.
But make sure you are praying for that, because that's what you need in your life to guide you on the right path.
Yeah. And just remember, like, Jesus never promised that friendship would be pain-free, but He did promise to hold you in that heartache.
Yeah.
It reminds me that verse, Psalm 34, verse 18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Yeah. That's my favorite verse, because it's just so true and it's so genuine.
Yes, and even in Matthew, when He speaks about the broken heart being elevated, you know, because he will bring them comfort. He will be close to those who are broken.
Because He knows and He understands. So you are never alone, because Jesus knows.
Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, guys. We really hope that we have enlightened some things, you know, helped you maybe. And keep praying for friends if you don't have the Christian friends. Remember to support your not Christian friends, but also don't fall into their ways or their path, because you have your own path, which is righteous in God, and you have a calling on your life. So keep following it. Don't get lost trying to be kind to other people.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.